Do you really need a patent attorney to file a patent application? Well, it depends on certain factors. Some say it's the complexity of the invention, while others say it depends on the amount of patent law knowledge you possess. Truth is, every inventor is different. Today, we will be speaking with Raoul Drapeau, an inventor with 14 patents. He will be sharing his views on patent attorneys and his experience patenting his inventions. You're watching First of Its Kind. Mr. Drapeau, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Nikki.
Tell us a bit about what you do as an inventor.
One of the first things an inventor tries to do is to come up with a problem that enough people have to make it economically worthwhile that you think you can solve, and then to try to come up with a solution for it. But the problem comes first, the solution comes later.
What are some of the problems you've come up with that you think a lot of people have and that you need to solve?
One of the most recent ones I call Bug Up, and it's a device for insect control in the home. And this came up about from me recently when I had an invasion of these things called stink bugs, which are very slow flying insects that come into homes around here. And they're very bad things because of the fact you don't want to hit them with a newspaper and squash them, because then they smell really bad, which is why they call them stink bugs. And you don't want to really spray them with a poison, because then you got poison on your walls. You have to clean up that kind of mess. So I think, what could be done to come up with a product that would provide a useful solution for homeowners and apartment dwellers to get rid of those kind of insects simply and easily? And so I thought of the old kind of solution, which is what they used to call fly paper, a very sticky kind of paper. Well, that's kind of inconvenient to use. Then the thought occurred to me, why not come up with a smaller piece of paper with sticky on just one side, and then some kind of an apparatus that holds that piece of paper. And so then all you have to do is to touch the bug with it. The bug is entrapped on the sticky paper, and you go over to your toilet or your trash can, you turn it upside down, and it disappears down the toilet. And everything is gone. And so that was the reason, the impetus for my latest invention.
It would be great to see how that works, but I would imagine that if you have lots of bugs, that can be time-consuming trying to use the Bug Up on so many bugs.
If you have lots of little critters, yes, it would be difficult. But most the kind of irritating bugs you have, insects, larger insects, the kind of insect that most people don't want to be bothering with, this is very intended for them. It's not intended for all the little bitty flying no-see-ums, as they're called, that you, like mosquitoes, for example. You got a million mosquitoes, you got a different kind of problem. It's not for that.
Okay.
Right.
Now talk about other inventions you've come up with in the past.
The one that we showed you just a little while ago, I call Paddle It, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a kayak exercising device. I came up with that because of the fact that I was in a position where I had a problem with my hip and I couldn't do aerobic exercise using my lower body. Upper body was fine. And so there were very few devices out there that you could find at a recreation center that had, that would give you aerobic exercise where you did not have to use your feet. Because you think about all the different devices they have, you have to be standing up and moving your legs. So that's where this one came up. Because I have used a kayak before, and you're sitting down, you're not moving your lower body at all, and you're getting a lot of aerobic exercise that way. So I thought, why not a kayak exerciser? So that was the impetus for that invention.
Now, did you try to hire a patent attorney in filing your patent application for it, or did you try to do it yourself?
I did it myself. I did have an attorney doing what's called the claims portion. The claim portion is maybe one paragraph or two paragraphs out of many pages worth, but it's the most important part of the patent application, because it is, by definition, it is in fact the legal definition of your invention. So you must have that done just so. And well, I did everything else myself.
Why did you choose to do it yourself? It
To
seems
save
like
money.
a lot of
Save
work.
money. It
to
saved money
save- to
because,
save money.
for example, if you as a nascent inventor have an idea for a great product, but you're not necessarily a good writer. Maybe English is not your first language, and you're not that good at business writing. Maybe you're not very good at drawing either. You don't have much business experience. You had better turn that whole thing over to a professional, like an attorney or an agent. But if English is your first language, you've got some business experience, you think you're good at writing, and maybe you're good at drawing as well, not necessarily hand drawing, but using a computer graphics program to make drawings, then you can, I would recommend you try it yourself. Why
And I
not?
guess you're good at all
And-
that.
and
You're trying to be
I'm fortunate.
modest.
I'm trying to be modest. Yes, well, I've been in business for 40 years, so yeah, I think I've learned something out of that.
And you know about patent law.
Not patent law per se, but I'm a member of the local inventors club. And there we get exposure to an awful lot of aspects of patent law, including the legislation that comes around every 10 years or so. There's a new patent law that screws everything up. And the American Inventors Act, which was most recent, changed everything for independent inventors. It changed us from a first to invent to a first to file system, which is a big change and a very unfortunate change for us.
You don't like
So
the
I don't-
first to file.
No, I don't. And the reason is that if you, as an inventor, are working a really great idea and at home, in your basement or whatever, your garage, in my case, and maybe quite by coincidence, a big corporation is working on the same thing. You started your invention 6 months before they even thought about doing anything on it. They didn't steal it from you. They just coincidentally, they started working on the same. And they've got 12 people in a $5 million budget, and they're going by gangbusters. They get to the patent office first. But you invented it first.
But how does anybody, you don't have any proof that you
Oh, you
are...
do. You have to keep an invention log. In fact,
Okay, let's see your
I
invention
have
log.
one right here. This is where I keep all of my inventions, and it has to be written up, and it has to be signed by someone who can understand what you wrote. And you put your invention, you put your drawings and photographs.
We'll have to get a
whatever you
close-up
have.
of this.
Yeah.
Perhaps...
And so this is what, under the old system, first to invent, this mattered a lot.
So this is your proof
That's my
that you're
proof that
the
I did it
first.
first. Now I can throw this away now, because it's the first person that gets to the patent office first. They're the one that win the invention, if there's an interference.
Well, laws
So this is
change,
worthless.
and I think, we gotta adjust to the times. So if it's first to file, immediately the inventor thinks about that idea, he has to quickly get his patent attorney if he can't do it himself.
Well, actually, the Patent Office does have a scheme called the Provisional Patent Application. And it does give the independent inventor, like me, a way out. Because a provisional application costs you $130, no big deal. It gives you a 1-year protection. It qualifies as an application, even though the Patent Office never examines it, they never do anything with it. At the end of the year, they're going to throw it away. But it puts you on record.
It gives you
It's a
some
timestamp.
protection.
It's a timestamp, yeah, exactly. You still have to go and file a formal application later on to get your protection, but at least it gets the ball rolling. So it gives you that 1 year now to prove it, to get yourself a patent professional, like an attorney or an agent, to work with you if you want to. So it does help to give you some kind of protection while you're doing your marketing and your proofing, your technical proofing to make yourself a prototype.
Now, to piggyback on what you said, you filed your patent application yourself, with the exception of the claims.
Yes.
Because you had years of experience in business.
Yes.
You were somewhat familiar with the law, and you were a good writer. You know how to draw. So once you had that put together, you submitted your application to the patent office. The claims was done by a professional lawyer.
That's correct.
So all of it to the patent office.
Mhm.
And how long did you have to wait before you heard back from them?
If I remember exactly, correctly, it was about 6 months, because I filed under this scheme they have for people over 65 years old, whereby you get a bump up in the examiner. You don't go to the bottom of the pile, you go almost to the top of the pile. So instead of waiting several years, you wait several months, which is a terrific advantage. So if you're over 65, go for it. It's a thing that you want to take advantage of. I'm pretty sure I did that.
So when you did the application yourself, you didn't have anybody like a second eye take a look at it. You were pretty confident that it was good to go.
I was, but the professional that wrote my claims went over it. He didn't write it. He just went over it and said, well, maybe change this word, change that word, kind of thing. So I do get some third party involved, second party involved in that to help.
That's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, did the patent office ever contact you to say this needs to be changed, or just to ask some questions?
That's not the way they work. What happens is, after this period where you're waiting for your application to get to the top of the pile, examiner looks at it and he or she says, oh, there's a problem here, there's a problem there. What they will then do is to send you what they call it the first action. It's their comments on what the problems are as they see it. You receive that in the mail. You then have, I think it's 90 days to respond. There's a particular, it's like a kabuki dance. There's a particular form that you have to respond in. It's a bad form to say to the examiner, you're wrong about this is stupid, you're wrong about that. You don't say that. You say, well, no, have you thought about this or that? So there are approaches to responding to their what they call complaints. There's a word they use for that.
A
Let me think
query?
about that. No.
Questions?
Exceptions. Yeah, they have a word for that. And so you need to have a professional help you with that. There are books you can get that will assist you with that. But to go to the same person who wrote your claims and say, here's the questions that the examiner had, things that I have to respond to, what do you think? And they'll come back and say, well, no, yes or no, and they'll make some suggestions. But still, you're in control. It's not the attorney who is the face that presents to the patent office. It's you. So you're getting your advice from your attorney or your agent, and then you incorporate that and you redo it yourself, and then you resubmit it. And you want to make sure you get it right that time, because if your actions are not satisfactory and they have to come back for a second action, you're on the edge of getting rejection. So you've got to make sure you do it right.
So when they ask you a question, maybe during the first action or second action,
Yep.
and maybe you got to change something, do you pay anything extra for any changes?
No, it's all included in their examination fee, as they call it. I do want to make a point that you're talking about attorneys, but there's two types of patent professionals, attorneys and agents.
And agents.
An agent is not an attorney, but they're fully qualified to help you in your getting your application in, and then also in responding to the examiner's queries and questions and concerns. They can't represent you in court if you get sued, but hopefully you never get there. And an agent usually will cost you a little bit less per hour or per job than an attorney would.
So there's just one difference, really. The attorney went to law school.
Yes,
The agent didn't necessarily go to
that's correct.
law school.
Yep.
Is there one you prefer over the other? Is there one you would advise inventors to
Takes
use?
a little less money I'll go for the agent every time.
How did you
But
find?
I've done both. I've used both.
How did you find your patent agent?
Very good question. If you are a new inventor and you want to have a professional help you, because you don't feel knowledgeable enough to be able to do it, there's two ways I can recommend that. One is go to a local inventors club, and there's one right here in town called the Inventors Network of the Capital Area. They meet once a month in Falls Church. go and meet them, talk to some of the other members, and say, you can just put your hand up in the meeting and say, I have a question. And say, I've got an invention for, let's say, a toy truck or whatever it might be. And has anybody had a recent patent that they've filed, used a professional, looking for a professional? Can you give me any suggestions to who to use, and how did you work with them, and what do they charge, and so on? They'll be perfectly happy to give you that information. The other way, if that's not convenient for you because you live far away, instead you can go to the Patent Office website or to Google. There's a website called patents.google, and then key in toy trucks or whatever your invention is, and it'll come up with a list of recent patents in that particular, what's called art unit, that particular field of endeavor. And then what you want to come up with is a list of half a dozen or 10 recent patents, and look and see what patent professional, whether it's an attorney or agent, helped that particular inventor. And then you can go to the Patent Office website and find out, where do those let's say it's an attorney, where do they live? Are they local, which many of them are, or are they out in Oshkosh someplace? If they're local, then you can call that particular attorney and say, I see you did a recent patent for John Jones in toys, not toy trucks, but toys, let's say, and let's talk about what you might charge for my particular application. Or you can go to that inventor you've seen. You call them on the phone, because the patent tells you where they lived. You go to that, find out their phone number, call that particular inventor and say, I see here that Tim Smith was your attorney on this particular patent. I have an interesting patent I'm working on. I'm looking for an attorney. What do you think about him or her? And that's a good way, an alternative way to find a patent professional.
What range did you have to pay your patent agent at the time you found him?
In my case, since I'm only having the claims done, it ranges between $1,000 and $2,000 for that.
Just the claims?
Just the claims. That's it. It's a paragraph or two. It's not much, a couple of hundred words, but they're very important words. And if you're going to have the whole thing done, let's say you just, again, English is not your strong point, so what you do is you write it what you can, as best as you can, with some sketches, however you can describe, as best as you can describe your invention. You turn the whole thing over to the attorney or the agent. You say, here, you figure it out, write it up for me. Then you're talking a lot more money. For a fairly simple mechanical invention, it could easily be between $5,000 and $15,000.
Today, that would be the cost today.
Yeah.
Now, filing the patent application for the Padlet back then, I guess it must have cost maybe some hundreds.
The current cost is about $1,200 for what's called a small entity. However, new inventor, they have a new element now, which is half price, which is called a micro entity. As long as you make less than $151,000 a year, then you fall in that category. So most new people now would. So back then, the price has not changed that much over years. Back then, I could look at my records, but it would be about $1,000 or $1,100. It doesn't change that much. Every quarter of the year, the Patent Office can and does usually change the fees, but they only change them a little bit. Back in 1970, whatever it was, when I got my first patent, the fee was $65.
And your first patent was?
It was a technical thing having to do with warehousing, computer-controlled warehousing. And back then, the Patent Office did not have to support itself. Now, for the last 30 years or so, it does. So therefore, that's why they keep changing the rights, because they have to support themselves on their income. And even then, Congress sucks out a large part of their income and takes it and puts it in the general fund. So we inventors are providing support for the entire country instead of just for the Patent Office. But that's just about my personal opinion.
Well, the Padlet, you got your patent.
Yes.
Now, the marketing of the product. Tell us your experience trying to find a company to distribute it?
That's one of the hardest things for inventors to do is to, because most of us are introverts, is finding that company to, assuming you want to have somebody license your technology instead of manufacturing and marketing yourself. That's something you can do yourself easily, not easily. Those are your two choices. Manufacture, market yourself, or find some company in the business or wants to be in the business to license your technology, license your patent, in effect. I didn't want to manufacture and market myself. That's a big expense and a big commitment of time and money, personal money. My objective was to find a company in the business. And there were, as I recall, about a dozen companies in that business at that time, 7 or 8 years ago, who were in that business. And I made a list of them. I contacted all of them, spoke to as high a person in the company as I could, typically the director or vice president of marketing. But timing is everything, particularly in patenting. And you can have the greatest idea since sliced bread, but if the market is not ready for it, the market doesn't see it as a need, or for whatever, maybe they see it as a need, but nobody's willing to step up and say, I'll take that on.
But the
Nobody
Padlet,
was.
the target market for the Padlet, I would guess, was it more for the elderly, the disabled, or who
No.
was the target
No,
market?
it was for anybody who needs aerobic exercise. Typically, yeah, it would be for those people, perhaps, more for those people who don't have use of their lower body, to be sure, crippled in some way, or temporarily disabled in some way, or they're just tired of treadmills and those kind of ellipticals and all those kinds of devices. They want something new. They still want aerobic exercise. And so it was a more general market with a certain element of that general market being people who would prefer to use upper body.
And back then, there wasn't a similar product to
There
yours.
was not. That's correct. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I did it, because I would have loved, in a way, just to go to the local rec center and say, oh, you get just the machine I want, but nobody did. Nobody.
Why do you think that they were somewhat reluctant towards it?
I don't have a simple answer for that. The only answer I have is timing.
Timing.
Yeah. They weren't ready.
Did you try going to the companies that promise inventors to help them with the ideas?
These are what's called invention marketing firms.
Invention marketing firms.
And you've seen a lot of them. You've seen one of them marketing a lot on television recently.
See them every day on television.
My advice is when you see that advertisement, change the channel.
Why do you say so?
I say so because of the fact that basically they have been shown to be scams. And I used to teach a course for inventors at local Fairfax County adult education. And that was one of the things I stressed is if you want to get your product out into the marketplace, that's not the way to go. And one of my students showed me his invoice from one of those companies, since out of business. Cost him $7,763. Basically, what he got out of that, I meant to say 7,700. Yeah,
okay.
7,000, more than $7,000. What he got for that was two things. One, they made a nice little flyer for him, color flyer, which you could go down to Office Depot and have that done for $10. And they promised that they would send, three things. They promised they would send that out to, what do they call it, make contacts in marketing, or whatever it was. But they send that flyer out to their mailing list of companies in the country. You can do that. And third thing was they said, we'll file your patent for you. But they don't tell you it's a design patent. It's not a utility patent. Mm-hmm. Now, design patent you can do yourself for, I think the rate is like $440, something like that now. You can do that yourself. It protects the appearance of your invention, not the function of it. So some things, if you're patenting, I don't know, like a Coke bottle, yeah, you want a design patent for that. But if you're patenting something that moves, has a function, it does something when you turn it on, then you want to have yourself a utility patent. They don't tell you that. Now, if you want to check out any company, any of these invention marketing companies, you should do two things. They sound really great. Do two things. First,
they use celebrities, and I guess that's what
right,
captivates
of course,
people. Right?
Yeah, if I were doing it, I would. If I were trying to market that kind of service, I would use a celebrity too. No names mentioned. You can go to the U.S. Patent Office. They have a section specifically referring to invention marketing firms. And it shows you one after the other all the claims against them from their customers, because there was such a rebellion against the patent office for not letting the potential inventors know about these companies who were ripping people off. And also the local Inventors Club, which is called the Inventors Network of the Capital Area, they have on their website, which is dcinventors.org, they have a whole section on invention marketing companies, which I recommend to anybody to read. But in any case, even if it looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And before you spend a nickel on that kind of company, research them, find out about them.
Go to the USPTO, go to
Yes.
the BBB.
I don't think BBB is going to be very helpful. No, they
Why?
just because they aren't for this sort of thing. Because they're well-meaning, but they don't have the information.
Let's talk about your other inventions. You have 14 patents.
Mm-hmm.
That is so awesome.
Well, some people have hundreds or even thousands, but at least I do my best.
Of the 14 patents, which would you say is the most successful?
The one that I'm most proud of, let's put it that way, is way back when in 1989 in the Tiananmen Square problem in Beijing. You might remember that iconic photograph of the guy standing up in front of the tank holding up his hand, and the photographer who took that photograph won a Pulitzer Prize for his photograph. He and others of his ilk who were in Beijing at that time, a group of them, I forget which one of our systems it was, it might have been Newsweek, but I'm not sure. The photographer would take his pictures from the hotel window, develop his film in his hotel bathroom, and we produced a scanning system. This is long before the internet. So we had a system that would take 35 millimeter film, digitally scan it, send it over the regular plain old phone lines, and they would then send that back to New York. So in a matter of minutes, New York would have a photograph that was only minutes old, which was terrific. This was not digital photographs, they were regular film photographs. Now contrast that to where previously the publisher back in New York would have to charter a jet for $35,000, $40,000 typically to take one roll of film from where out someplace back to New York City. Now it costs them a few pennies in telephone usage charge. Well, we produced that system. That was one of my first inventions, and it was a terrific idea, and we got a lot of benefit from it. And ultimately, companies like Washington Post and U.S. News and World Report and Time and Newsweek and produce these systems and send. So they save themselves an awful lot of money that way. I'm really proud of that.
You still have pictures of that?
Someplace. I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think I do. I can't find it right now.
So the 14 patents, did you try to patent them yourself?
Patent them or market them?
Or did you try to file patent application for them yourself?
I did. I think when I was working for a company, then the company's patent attorney handled all of that. But when I retired, then I did, yes, from that point forward I did it all myself, except for the claims.
Did you ever consider pro bono services?
For what?
For patent attorney pro bono services.
You mean to provide pro bono services to other inventors, to assist them?
For you to get pro bono help.
Oh, you mean to ask
for pro bono help,
or you were just pro bono help?
Or you were just pretty confident that you could do it yourself.
They don't do that.
I know you got to qualify for it anyway. So perhaps you might not have qualified.
There may be some attorneys or agents who take pity on an inventor who has no money, has a great idea. Yes, but maybe they would provide a heavily discounted rate, or maybe even pro bono. But I haven't heard of that happening. But if they're really good people and they see a good situation, why not? What they would be probably more likely to do is to say, I'll do this whole job for you, won't cost you a nickel, but I want a piece of the action. Well, that's okay. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Now, from your experience approaching marketing firms to distribute your product, what are the questions they typically would ask you?
You don't mean an invention marketing firm, but a real marketing
A
firm.
real marketing
Yes,
firm.
yes. Question I would ask or they would ask?
The question you would ask and the question they would ask
Okay.
you.
I would ask them for their references. That is to say, hey, give me some names of some specific inventors that you have helped produce a marketable design for their invention, and then to help them bring it to market. What did you do? How did you do it? How much did you charge them for it? And I would repeat the similar sort of questions for the inventor. Why did you pick this particular company?
Did you ask those real marketing firms
Yes, I
these
did.
questions?
I had two of them that I approached, not for, I forget which invention it was for, but and it would have cost $15,000 to $20,000 for them to do the job. And I just wasn't prepared to spend that money at the time. Now, one of the great things that's happening now that people can take advantage is this what's called we pardon me while I think of the word where great groups together of people on the internet.
Is it Kickstarter?
Like Kickstarter. What's the word for Kickstarter?
Crowding?
Crowdfunding. Thank you.
Crowdfunding.
Back we go. Crowdfunding, yes. Crowdfunding now is a terrific way for inventors to sidestep some of the venture capitalists, which is the usual way that you get money to bring your
Invention
product
to
market.
life.
Yeah, go to Kickstarter. There's half a dozen other competitors to Kickstarter. They're a great way to get money from people. Doesn't cost you anything, so to speak. And you have to, yes, eventually it costs you something, but there's no large upfront money you have to give. You present your idea, and if people want to invest, they can. It's kind of it's a venture capital kind of idea, writ large to the world instead of just to a small group of people. So it's a terrific idea. I haven't done it yet, but on the current
That was my next question. Have you tried to do it?
On my current product, which is the
bug up.
I'm thinking about that. Yes, I'm going to be spending some time thinking about that and trying to plan that, see what other people have done, whether it really works for them or not. But I'd be looking for $50,000, $60,000 in order to do that.
Okay, good. Now, who do you look up to? Do you have any role model inventors that kinds of inspires you?
Yeah. It's not so much Edison.
Edison.
Edison was a nasty guy. Yeah.
Edison is good enough.
He's good enough. No. The one
Now, Thomas
Cut the
Edison,
cigarette,
is it the light bulb? The inventor,
Yeah.
the inventor of the light bulb.
But now, I'm trying to think of his name now. Edison, Westinghouse. He's
Let's not put you through that trouble.
No. I call the name because it's very important.
There's so many of them. There is Alexander Graham Bell.
No.
There's the Wright brothers.
He's from Serbia. He invented the rotating electrical machinery.
Back in the day.
Yeah, this is late 1800s.
Oh, I don't think I'll know that one.
I'm going to come back to that. I hope you're cutting this. But
What's
Tesla. Thank you.
Tesla.
Very
So that was that
Nikola
answer
Tesla.
was
Very good.
supplied by the crew.
Yes.
That's Woody
Nikola
Williams.
Tesla.
Thank you for that, Nikola Tesla.
was most any electrical engineer's hero, because he came over here with nothing in his pocket, and he was a hero. In a sense, many, not all, but many of the devices that we take for granted now, including alternating current electrical transmission, was his invention, and he promoted it, and he became the arch enemy of Edison, who was restricted to direct current. And there was a lot of problems between the two of them. But in any case, Tesla is my hero.
Now, staying on the topic of the need for a patent attorney, other inventors you know, do they hire attorneys to file their patent applications?
Most of the people in the Inventors Club, I won't say most because I don't know that for sure. Some of them do use an attorney for the whole thing, simply because, or an agent, simply because they don't feel qualified to do all the work themselves. Others do it all themselves except for the claims. So I don't know what the percentage would be.
Okay, so we can summarise it to say that filing a patent application all by yourself depends on the factors that we've discussed about earlier.
Yes. Yes. The simple question is to an inventor is, should I use a patent attorney or an agent, or should I do it, or could I do it myself? Patent office doesn't care one way or the other whether you use a professional or not. You can do the whole thing yourself and screw it up yourself just as easily as not. But if you don't feel confident in your English abilities, I would definitely recommend that you do use a professional, at least for the claims, if not for the whole thing. But if you do feel confident in your abilities, you can do much of it yourself, except for the claims.
And final question, a list of your 14 patents. Do you know them all? We've talked about the paddle-it and we've talked about the bug-up.
I just happen to have it right here. Okay. I knew you might ask this question, so I thought I would have it out here. Okay, so
Smart.
this is what a stack of patents. They give it, one nice thing about patents is they give you this nice little cardboard cover with a nice
Wow.
little gold ribbon, or gold seal and a red ribbon. Very impressive. And, you know, then you got drawings on the inside and such. Oh, this one happens to be the one, my most recent one, which is the bug up. I do want to show you, but it involves, anyhow, so I'll show you. So here's all 14. A sensing system for an array of flux storage elements. That sounds very impressive. It's very extremely technical.
Can I find the patent, or can you bring out so that we show
I think they're in.
So that we just, the camera zooms it on it.
Okay, well,
Zooms
let's see if you want.
in on it.
The most recent one is
Okay.
this one, which is
And this is the patent for the
Bug up.
insect capture. That's the bug up.
capture system. Yes, exactly.
It would have been great if they awarded trophies like they do at the Academy Awards. But they have the National Inventors Hall of Fame that does
Yes,
all
that's
that.
true. Yes.
Give me 1 minute.
Okay, cool.
If you open up and show the first page, typically most patents, the first page has the patent number, a title, U.S. patent number, and here's the title. It always has a drawing on it. Sometimes, the patent office picks the drawing. You say, we want this one. Okay, fine. So, and then it has there's an abstract. Which
And
is
you
a
do your
paragraph.
drawings yourself.
I do, yes.
You don't use
They're
the
all computer.
computer
It's
software.
computer-generated software, yeah, the drawings.
Well, you must be a whiz to be able to do all these.
It's not as difficult. It really is not difficult.
So we continue with the list you were reading out.
Yeah, okay. A printing head mechanism. This was for the world's first impactless, noiseless printer. This was back in the days when, this was in 1972, when if you had a computer, you had to connect it to something called a teletype. You probably heard a teletype make a lot of noise. This thing was literally silent and ran 10 times as fast, 12 times as fast. So it was quite a thrill, and the whole separate company was set up to manufacture and market that. That was when I was working. An impactless printer, which is an associated patent for the same device. Then an item selecting system, and my company got involved in automating warehouses, doing batch picking, which is a way to improve the efficiency of warehousing in fulfilling orders. A secure conferencing system. I got involved with a situation where, or working for CIA, where you would have meetings, and maybe in a hotel, you got a bunch of people together in a hotel, and the hotel wasn't secure, and you want to have a secure meeting. So what you would do is, with this device, you have half a dozen people sitting around the table, and everybody would wear one of these, hold over their mouth, one of these masks that a stenographer would use in a courtroom, so that the other people wouldn't be hearing what they're saying. And then everybody would have a set of headphones. So if I was speaking into my microphone, then everybody who had headphones would hear what I was saying, but nobody outside could.
So each person who wants to speak would wear that over.
Yes, well, while they're speaking, and then.
What is it called, that device?
It's, I forget what
Is it still being used today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
A video wall viewing angle enhancement system. Now this was a neat idea. This one was purchased from me. The whole patent was purchased. You've probably seen these things called video walls, usually at malls, where you'll have video screens, flat screen video screens, without much border around them, and they jam one against the other to make a big array, and then put a huge picture on it. Well, the problem is that you have this little black border around each one of them. And so by putting, as it turns out, a little array of lenses, linear lenses over each of the borders, a very particular type of lens, as you stand back to look at it, the margins would disappear. So the whole picture would look contiguous. And his company in Britain bought it from me. I don't know whether they're doing it anything with it or not, but I got my money and I ran.
You said the patent was purchased.
Yes, the rights to the patent was purchased by them, yeah.
Oh.
You can do that. You could,
You could sell your patent.
a patent is a piece of goods, like a house or something.
Yes, it's a piece of goods. It's chattel.
Goods, just like a book or anything, you can sell it, yes. You could sell it in piece or in part to different people. Doesn't
You
matter.
could license it.
You can license it or just give up entirely, take your money.
Pending, within the duration you own it.
Yes.
Because it has certain duration.
Yes, yep. It's only really as good as the number of years left on the patent.
Okay.
Then the paddlet, the simulated kayak device, came next. And then a trigger, sprayer, nozzle, providing flow in various directions. Now this is, I can show you a demonstration of that. It's out in where we were before. But the idea there was that if you have a spray bottle of some kind of cleaner, let's say, trigger pump, spray bottle, and the level is going down a little bit, getting down towards the end, and you want to spray something down here or up there. It doesn't work because there's a dip tube that goes down to the bottle. It's no longer in the liquid anymore. It's outside. Doesn't work. Well, my idea was that, okay, by changing what's up at the head, the top, a little bit, while holding the bottle vertical, you can direct the spray up, down, or straight ahead. Work like a champ.
It's ingenious.
And I submitted that invention to a company in Germany who was having an international contest for inventors. And I submitted my invention to them. Actually, I submitted a copy of the patent. That's what they wanted. And I won. Out of all the people
Congratulations.
I
Hope
won.
it's
It
not
was
too
great.
late to say
And
congratulations.
They sent me and my wife over to Germany for a long weekend. They paid me some money. It was great fun. And yeah, it was good. So that's one of my better successes. One I'm most proud of that one. And then improvement to fabric hanger system. Again, I got that out there. I can show you. But what that is my wife and I went over to one of the local fabric stores some time ago, and we were looking for some fabrics, and they have these hanger devices whereby they'll have a clamp type hanger, and then you'll have usually a fan fold of fabric attached to it. But if you want to see the whole thing, you only see this much. If you want to see the whole thing, they have to disassemble the entire apparatus. They've got screws in it, and then take it off, hold it. Oh, no, I don't want that one. They have to fold it back up again. It's a big pain in order to put it back again, or to take it off for that matter. So this was a device to handle that situation and to make it so it was real easy. And but again, marketing is the key thing. It was merely it was a lark. I didn't think I was even going to get a patent on it, but I did. So now what do I do with it? Nah, nothing, let it ride. It was cheap.
Yeah, like you rightly mentioned, for the marketing, since it's really key for a lot of inventors,
Yes,
one might need to hire a kind of agent or an attorney to help with that.
to help with the marketing of it, or just trying to, which aspect? I'm sorry. I
When
missed your
you're
point.
making the deal with
Oh, the deal.
yeah, with
Oh,
the
yes.
marketing company, and
Oh,
also to
yes.
get advice,
Oh, yes.
because like you said, there are lots of scam artists out there.
Yes. Yeah, you really need advice. If you're going to do it all yourself, chances are you're not going to do very well, because there's a lot of questions that you need to know to ask that you won't know to ask if you try to do it all yourself, unless you happen to maybe have educated yourself just by having done it enough times to learn some of the questions you need to know. But generally speaking, unless you have that knowledge, you need to have some help, whether it's an attorney or an agent or a marketing company or a friend or a club or whatever. My recommendation to people is get as much help as you can before you dive in and spend a lot of money. Advice is king.
Okay, great. So, where do you hope to see one of your inventions? You hope someday that
Yeah.
it's distributed worldwide? Do you
Yeah.
hope to see it in Target,
That's
Walmart?
what we all want, to see your invention on the shelf at Home Depot or Target or Walmart or whatever it is, a mass market. But there's a lot of niche market that very successful inventions never make it to the consumer trade. But if you can always tell it, if you can get to the point where you can tell your friends, go down to the store, you'll see it on the store, on the shelves. That's a big bonus. And for me, that's what I'm hoping with my latest one, which is the bug up, which we talk about.
Do you plan to market internationally, or it would just be within the U.S.?
I only have a U.S. patent for it, so anybody overseas could take it and run with it. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not a big market. That's not as big a market as the domestic market. For most inventors, the U.S. market, for most American inventors, well, maybe for most inventors, period, the U.S. market is the premier market. That's the one you want to go for. So you want to always have a U.S. patent for almost all inventions. And if you want to have it outside as well, then maybe England and Canada and so on. But for me, it doubles and triples your cost if you want to want to have patent protection outside the USA. And you got to be really convinced that your invention is going to be really worthwhile to do that.
You mentioned that the patent office would definitely do searches, some
They have to.
international searches before awarding the patent.
Their reason for doing searches outside the U.S., even though you're only applying for U.S. patent, is their interest in trying to find a way to reject your patent. Because if they can show it existed someplace else, either in a publication someplace or in a patent in some other country, then you're done.
And we're done. Thank you so much for the wealth of information you've shared with us.
My pleasure.
I'm so inspired that you have 14 patents, and I'm sure my viewers would be as well. It was great speaking to you, Mr. Drapeau.
Drapeau, yes. Well, I wish that all your viewers who are interested in patenting something, their great invention, bring it to market, bring it to, in fact, the first thing they should do is to go to Inventors Club, either the one here in DC or any Inventors Club. Get yourself educated, talk to other inventors, talk to the people there, get advice and counsel, and then proceed.
It's most needed.
Yes, I think so.
Thank you for sharing your pearls of wisdom.
I hope they're pearls.
We hope you've gained immensely from our discussion. Do I really need a patent attorney to file a patent application? If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please send an email to info@firstofitskind.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
This is a kayak exerciser to simulate the action of a kayak for people who need to get aerobic exercise and yet do not have the ability to use their legs. Because you can use this while you're sitting down, even in a wheelchair, or standing up, whereas most of the devices you'll see in a recreation center require the use of your legs. And back some years ago, I had some trouble with my hip, and I couldn't do that kind of exercise. So that was the impetus for me inventing this.
That's what inspired you to come
Exactly.
up with paddle it,
Yes,
exercise,
yes,
or it's just called paddle it.
right. And so it's a kind of a paddling, and it simulates in many ways how a kayak actually works, because it gives you exercise, frictional exercise, as well as speed-dependent exercise. So the faster you go, the harder you have to work.
Almost looks like the boat, the canoe.
A canoe, yeah, except with a canoe, typically you're only going on one side. With a kayak, you go on both sides of the boat.
Size.
Yep.
Could you show us how to use it?
Yes.
Demonstrate
Yes.
briefly.
What I do is, this has two different ways of using it, one of which is to simulate an actual kayak by having a paddle, as you can see here. You pull first on one side and then the other, and inside the device there is a flywheel here that generates the force, and there's a frictional device as well, so I can increase the friction. And so I simply just get myself set up and pull on one side, and then on the other side and alternate. And then this is, and by going faster and faster, I can put greater and greater force on my sailboat. And then also, in addition to using the paddle, I can also replace the paddle with these hand grips. And this gets you a different form of exercise.
Do you need some help? Let me see.
Yeah, there we go. Just stick that on there.
Stick it on here.
Here we are. This gives you a little bit more flexibility because it's the same mechanism, but now you can do more different kinds of things with your hands. And in addition, if you want to, you can reverse and do it facing away from the machine, which gives you yet different set of muscle groups. So it gives you a rather complete exercise, and you can do this as long as you can stand it. And it gives you a very similar kind of workout as if you were swimming. I don't like to swim, so I much prefer to use this.
Burning, do you know?
I don't know the number. No, I did not figure it out. But if you do this for 30 minutes, you're working up a pretty good sweat. It's a lot of calories. I can show you, if you like, what it looks like inside.
Yes. Are you
Device?
feeling any pain doing it?
No, no pain.
Or it's more of pleasure? Joy?
Oh, it's pleasure. It's definitely pleasure. I'm a hiker, and I like to go out there and walk up and down mountains. I get pleasure out of that. Most people say, why would you do that? But it's pleasuresome, and this is the same way.
Okay, it's fun enjoying the exercises you're doing.
Yes,
Because people say no pain, no gain. But there can be no pain and there some gains too.
yeah, exactly. I don't agree with that statement, no pain, no gain. I mean, if you're doing something that is brutal to your body, then yes, you may gain from it if you're lifting 400-pound weights and so on. But to me, you can get plenty of gain without any strain.
Without any pain inside.
No pain, yeah.
Lots of people will be glad to hear that.
Yeah, yep. So this is, I thought, a very effective invention, and at the time, it's now in the public domain. At the time, I attempted to find some manufacturers who would license the technology, but it's a question, as with many inventions, it's a question of timing. And are you are trying to approach the market at the time when the market is interested in that particular type of device?
Now, when did you come up with this invention?
This was about 2008, approximately.
Were there any similar products out there?
No, there weren't. That was, therefore, I felt it was a very good opportunity because there was no competition out there for this kind of device. There were several other devices that produce kayak equivalency, but they were extremely complex, very bulky and very expensive. But this could be manufactured fairly inexpensively. This is only what they call a demonstration prototype. So this is not the kind of thing you have to be beefed up somewhat in order to go to the market. But it worked beautifully.
How much did it cost you to put this together?
Oh, if I added up the bits and pieces, probably $200 or $300.
At the time?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're all small parts. In fact, I can show you, if you'll hold on to that one.
What are the parts?
Very simple, actually.
Like a do-it-yourself.
Yeah, that's correct. Let me just take these off for a moment. Now, notice that the cord, it's a single unitary cord. Goes from the right hand through the pulley, through this pulley, out here. So as I pull from my left hand back, notice that the drum is rotating clockwise.
Is there some
As
pressure?
I'm applying a little pressure, yes. The drum, both the drum and the flywheel are rotating in the same direction, right? Now as I pull on the right hand now, the drum is now rotating in the opposite direction, but notice the flywheel is moving in the same direction, always clockwise. Regardless of the direction the drum is rotating, the flywheel, which is providing the retarding force, is always going in the same direction.
It is ingenious.
That's what I said. And then there is a little friction pads here that apply friction pads that grip onto the this disc, aluminum disc, to provide a retarding force that's adjustable here. And then here we have a big, strong magnet, permanent magnet, that is providing flux through the aluminum, and as the aluminum moves, that also provides a retarding force that is dependent on the speed.
So we have the cord.
Yep.
This is the
It's just a flywheel, a pulley. It's a pulley.
pulley.
Just changes the direction of the cord. That's all it does.
So this is called
A drum.
the drum, and
Yeah.
this is
That's the flywheel.
The
It's a
flywheel.
cast iron. You can see
cast
it's
iron.
thick. It's made of cast iron.
And
Yes.
that's the magnet. that holds
Yep.
it.
Yep. And so again, regardless of which direction the drum is moving, counterclockwise, clockwise.
Now, is there like a motto there?
There's no motor. Nope. No, there's a selection of pulleys and rubber. What's the word for them now? I forget. Anyhow, and some one-way clutches in there. The combination provides that unitary motion of the flywheel. So, yeah, I thought it would make a perfectly good product for a company in the business.
It must have taken you quite a while to come up with this, to put it together,
To potentially put it together, yes, it did. To conceptualize it and say, well, I think I know what needs to be done. Now you need to do it. Doing it takes months, whereas thinking about it doesn't take so long. So yeah, this was all made here at my workshop.
I think I'd like to try this, and I like to see, get a feel for it.
Okay.
I really like to work out my arms.
Yep.
Those are the trouble spots.
Now what you want to do, I'll just give you a demonstration. I'll hold on your hands. When you're pulling on the right-hand side, don't completely let go of the left-hand side. Give
Okay.
a less pressure, but regardless of which way you're going, make sure there's pressure on both sides. Because otherwise, this is going to get loose on the drum. You have to maintain pressure on the drum.
So I have to do it kind of slowly.
Or you can speed it, then increase the speed a little bit each time. There you go, as you get used to it, a little faster.
I'm loving this. Now, is there the option to tighten it if I want more pressure? Like
Yes.
when you go to the gym, they have this kind of workout equipment.
That's what this is here for. As I increase this, go a little faster. There you go. Keep going. I'm going to increase the pressure. So it takes a little more effort now. That's just pure friction. So no matter how fast you're going to have the same amount of friction.
This really feels like one of the equipment they have in the gym for working out the shoulders and the
Yep.
arms.
Yes. As I showed you, if you move your hands up and down or you turn around, you can get an entirely different set of muscles going.
Is that the highest pressure?
In this particular model, it is, yes. But if you do that for 20 minutes, faster than you're doing, maybe twice as fast, you're going to get plenty of exercise.
So is this the only way I can do this, or can I turn like?
You can turn around, yeah, just exchange hands.
Exchange?
There you are. You have to stand a little closer for that. Yeah, there you go. Make sure you apply a little tension on both sides.
Yeah, don't let it go like that. Just
Okay.
yeah, keep a little tension on both.
A little tension on both.
Yep, there you go. That's the girl.
I don't think I need to go to the gym tonight.
Well, I'll release some of the tension there, so it makes it a little easier for you.
This is what I do at the gym almost every night.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Sold.
Now, did the patent examiner try this out?
No, it used to be back in the 1800s. You had to submit a model of your invention to the patent office in order to get your application approved. But then they eliminated that requirement, and nowadays you don't have to submit a model. And however, if the examiner says, I don't think that's going to work the way you've described it, then you may have to bring a model in and say, look, there it is, it works, or have them come to your house or something like that. But I've never heard of that happening.
So the patent examiner pretty much just did the search to make sure you are the first person, and you're the only person with this invention.
They will do that.
And that's all they did, the search, and then you were awarded the patent.
It's not quite that simple. They search to make sure, as you say, are you the first person to come up with this particular idea? Then they also look at, is it practical? Can it actually be made? For example, if you come up with an idea for a perpetual motion machine, they'll just ignore it right off the bat because it's technically impossible. And then they'll look at so much more.
My arms are tall.
I know you're feeling good already, aren't you?
That's great. I like to try the paddle.
There's a lot involved in approving a patent, what an examiner does, and looking at the past history is only part of it. They also take a look at what else has been happened, whether or not your invention is truly new and unique. You know, are you the first person to have done this?
And are they searching just the U.S. database?
No,
or
they
international.
No, international, because the fact that the rules say that if your idea for an invention has been invented someplace else in the world, any place in the world, any time at all for the last 500 years, then you can't patent it.
Even if you're not going to market it.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's just the rule. It has to be truly unique. And if it's not new and unique, too bad.
I don't think they search countries where they have a kind of agreement, treaty agreement.
No, they search them all.
They search all
They
countries.
they can. Here's what will happen. Typically, the patent examiner is not going to spend a lot of time searching the patent archives in Bangladesh or wherever, so a smaller country. But what will happen is if, let's say you get your patent, they search, it's easy for them to search Japan, Western Europe, and the US and Canada. That's fairly easy to do. But the smaller countries, they're not going to bother with, because what will happen is this. Let's say you get your patent. The examiner, it passes the muster from the examiner. You get your patent, and you go out there and you market it, and you were very successful. You're making a lot of money with it. Then all of a sudden, some other company, because now you're competing with them, some other company with a similar product, they hire a certain attorney to go out and find something out there in Bangladesh, wherever in the country, wherever in the world, any time in the past, some kind of invention. It doesn't have to even be a patent. It can just be described in a technical journal, in a newspaper someplace, anywhere at all. If they can find that, then they can overturn your patent. So while the U.S. examiners don't bother with all of that, maybe sometime later on, a competitor will.
And that's why.
That's too bad then.
That's why some people hire patent attorneys. And in your own case, when you did your search, you searched the U.S. database and other countries.
No, just the U.S. Because again, you have to think that where am I going to be marketing my invention? If I'm not going to be marketing it outside the country, even though something might have been described similar to my patent, similar to my invention in another country, the chances of that happening are fairly remote. And so therefore, as a practical matter, why should you spend a lot of money in having someone search in a very global manner for something that probably is going to cost you many tens of thousands of dollars to do that search, because you're going to search different languages as well as English. It's not just English. And then you come up with nothing.
Yep.
So take a risk. It's a
You're
risk.
taking a risk, but
Yeah.
you just said the patent examiner might search other countries.
It's a little bit easier for them than it is for us because they have better tools than you or I do. I mean, there's several. The U.S. Patent Office has its own website that's quite good. Google is another way to search, and there are other search engines as well for searching patents. But still, you can miss things. And
But you
it's-
searched only the U.S. database.
I did. I did.
And you were lucky enough that when the patent examiner searched, you were the only person.
He didn't find
He
anything.
didn't find anything, so
Yep.
that was luck.
I was luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I aced out.